Welcome to the Project Zomboid Surviving Your First Week Guide. Have you ever wanted to play this game but wound up completely dying over and over and getting discouraged? While I can't promise that this guide will prevent that entirely, it should at least help. You're going to be going on basic apocalypse difficulty with a start in Rosewood, which I would say is the second to easiest starting town, but the easiest one that has substantial loot worth bothering with. Echo Creek is less busy, but tends to not have as good of loot. We're going with Rosewood. For our character build, we are going with the Burglar for ease of accessing cars. Now, if you select the Burglar stock, you will have to make up 6 points. Unfortunately, that's an easy one to purchase. Just go ahead and purchase the thin-skinned and prone to illness traits, and you're already there. The only positive traits I will be grabbing are the organized trait and the dexterous trait. This has created a character who's just able to get into cars easily with very minimal risk to itself. You shouldn't be getting attacked by zombies anyway, and you should not wound up catching any colds during your first week unless you're playing really badly on purpose. But you have faster inventory transfer and you are more organized. After spinning up a random appearance character you're happy with, go ahead and hit start. Alright, we have officially loaded in. Now, since this is a guide designed for build 42, the first thing I would actually recommend you do is deposit your starter pistol. Guns in this game just attract more trouble than they are worth, and they are not something you should be bothering with for quite a while. It seems we already have a visitor, so we're going to have to get rid of them. Let's see here. Go ahead and toss the corpse out the window. So, as that zombie was so kind as to demonstrate for us, the first thing you're probably going to want to do is close as many curtains as you can. We want blocked sight lines wherever possible, because that is how zombies will see us to get in and attempt to kill us. So go around whatever house you happen to start in and block off as many curtains as you can find. Okay. We have quite a few blind spots left in this house that we need to cover up. But what I'm going to do first is head on down into the basement and check out what the situation is down here. On this occasion, it looks like we got a basement hangout. Now this is good, as it has a television that is already attuned to life and living. This step is less important than it would have been in build 41, as there is now a cap on XP you can get from the television shows. By default, in Apocalypse difficulty, which is what we are playing on, that cap is level 3. That said, with normal XP rates, you should actually about reach this if you watch every single TV show. So you might as well throw one on. Once you have verified the home is secure. And there we go. There's our first level in cooking. Go ahead and catch a couple more XP points. And there you go. Now, as far as basements goes, that's a pretty good one. Always make sure you turn off any devices when you're done using them, like TVs, radios, anything of that nature. And it sounds like we have a visitor. Where are they? Now, do as I say, not as I do here, because I would recommend not running around like I just did. Running just expels a ton of stamina, and I would generally advise against it unless you have truly no other options. But on this occasion, I would say it's fine. So we need more sheets to cover up our windows. Specifically, doing a quick count, we need 2 sheets for the doors, 3 sheets for the first story windows, a 4th sheet for the second story window, but then we will be good after that. So we need 4 sheets total. Call it 5 because I want to make a sheet bag as well. Now, fortunately, it seems like this zombie was kind enough to drop the keys to their house here in Rosewood. So we can just let ourselves in. Always scan around and make sure you're not immediately going to be followed, as it is just the worst feeling in the world to die to something preventable like that. On this occasion, it looks like there is a zombie who is not paying attention, so go ahead and engage stealth formation and go by him. To engage in stealth, the default keybind is C. Well, there's a single sheet. I'm going to go ahead and use that as the sheet for our bag, so we can carry the other ones more effectively. Equip that on our back. See, no sheets in there. I'd rather not deal with that zombie if they're not going to deal with us. So go ahead and just sneak on by him. He's not bothering anybody, so let's not bother him. But there's another sheet here. Remember, we're looking for 5 sheets overall to cover our house completely. We had the one for our bag, and that's 1. That's 2. We are now up to 3. It's not particularly useful. I'd go ahead and grab any books you come across just so you have something to do when nighttime strikes, as you do not want to be out at night. You'll need something to pass the time. Okay. We have now picked up all of the sheets we need. Crayons, pillow. The crayons are actually a good find, as those will allow you to mark your map in all of the various colors. You'll just need an eraser and you're good to go as far as editing your map is concerned. Looks like that zombie noticed us, but we were able to squeeze by him. In build 42, you want to play this game a lot more tactically and stealthily than you would have before. If you're engaging large groups of zombies, you're going to get muscle strain, you're going to break your weapons, and it's not going to be a good time. So where possible, you want to avoid that. But by putting up sheets all around your starter house, you should be able to have a clear sight line where, as long as nobody sees you run in here, you have someone that's always safe as long as nobody hears you inside. That is possible if you make a lot of noise, but it is still worth keeping in mind. We need 2 more sheets though, so we're gonna head back to the neighbor's house and go ahead and grab them. Now the neighbor's house is actually completely clear. Clear enough that we have actually found an episode of Woodcraft ready to go. This is carpentry, one of the easier skills to grind in the game, but one I would still recommend grinding. Once again, XP cap in build 42 is a thing on default apocalypse settings, which is what this guide is based around, so that will be level 3. Getting to level 3 carpentry will still help though. So let's go ahead and finish reading all of this and then collect the rest of the sheets. And we can go ahead and explore that nearby garage to look for a weapon. Now, while I'm sitting here with the menu open, I would like to bring attention to your character's status window. This is your health panel. If you've played the tutorial already, and you should go play the tutorial first, you already recognize this, but what's more important is your character's info tab. Specifically, the weight. Letting that get too high or too low is going to impose a variety of penalties upon you, and you're going to want to make sure you juggle that. By the way, that was a fake dead zombie. Sometimes corpses you find will just pretend to be dead and you'll have to put them back down. I'm going to go ahead and eat that entire tub of peanut butter in order to get our weight tracking up, with the knowledge that we'll be active and physical today, so that should stabilize back down to normal soon. Alright, gather up another sheet. And it looks like that's all the sheets we actually have here. So with that said, we are going to go ahead and return home. If you're following along with this guide, it's at this point where, well, obviously you should return home. We just need one more sheet and our house will be, in terms of sight lines, secured. In terms of actual security, we do still need boards. But now we are functionally invisible as long as we are inside this building and nobody saw us go in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the nearby shed and see if we can break our way in and look for something. Ideally, we're looking for some sort of weapon, but pretty much anything we can find in here will help us right now. It looks like we have a chest freezer. We could take that back with us. We have some basic electrical and mechanical books. A rubber hose, good for siphoning out of vehicles. A couple of seed packets, potentially good if we wanted to maybe start up a farm later. And some spare materials that would be worth it if we were going to engage in a ton of crafting. Basically, everything in this new build has a use, either to be scrapped or to actually fulfill its intended purpose. And in the shed outside of our starter house, we have a generator. We also have a long stick and a plank of wood. Go ahead and grab that sports bottle. That will help in terms of keeping our character hydrated. Put on the elbow pads and the knee pads. Those are really good protection relative to their weight. We have an empty gas can, which is good to know. None of these weapons generate maintenance XP when used as a weapon, but we're going to go ahead and grab this long stick. We have a jug of vinegar and a drumstick. But I'm actually more interested in that garbage bag. So go ahead and grab that. Put everything we're not immediately using in our sheet bag. And keep in mind, if you find a generator of where it is, you might want to mark it down perhaps. Which is actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark that with a gear symbol to denote that there's a generator in there. And whenever you pick up any bits of armor, check their discomfort value. Anything you wouldn't wear day to day is probably going to result in your character complaining a little bit if you wear it for a prolonged period of time. Things like safety gear or sports equipment that aren't meant to be day-to-day wear. We picked up a pretty nice bottle though. Oh! Well, that's important to show off. Yes, anywhere between days 0 and 28, the power and water systems in the world will be knocked offline and can be restored by building rain collector barrels in the case of the water, drawing from lakes or rivers if you want to do it that way, or setting up that electrical generator we found in the shed in the case of the power. In the case of the water, though, we are going to go ahead and just fill up our bottle and just be mindful of how much you have left. We can fill up this bottle 19 more times. Higher capacity bottles will keep you hydrated for longer, but they will burn through your water supply quicker as well. So that's worth keeping in mind. All right, looks like we have a willing customer. Okay, if you can sneak up on zombies, you should be able to push them over and then attack their head for a critical. So wherever you can, make sure to sneak up on people. If you are playing the game and you do not have the melee targeting outline, you make sure to go to accessibility. Or make sure you go to user interface. And you should be able to enable the melee target outline. That will just help with feedback and not messing up what feels like it should have been more effective hits. Okay, we've got a bunch of iron and steel rods. None of them generate maintenance XP either, but they are good as just general purpose killing implements, so we're going to go ahead and pick some up. Looks like we got to break into another house. And this should be our last sheet that we need. Ooh, an episode of Woodcraft. Keep an eye out for things like that. You can find all sorts of good skill books if you know what to look for and where to look. Go ahead and grab some. I'm going to go ahead and grab the aviator glasses and go ahead and grab as much food as you reasonably can. You are going to get hungry eventually, and so you'll want to make sure you have something for that when the time comes. And in our cabinet here, we found the last sheet we need for our house. So we're going to go ahead and bring that on back. And then our house, in terms of sight lines, will be 100% secure. So if you're following along at home, make sure to head on up. Go ahead and put a sheet up. Turn on the light so it doesn't immediately get dark, because that is a legitimate risk in this build. And there we go. Fully secured sightline. The thing of beauty. Go ahead and put those books we found down on a shelf down here, along with our VHS tapes. Make a habit of just putting objects in places they make sense so you can find them again later. While putting everything on the floor is a tempting option, that can lag the game. So I'd advise against doing that. Make sure you put meats and things that were already frozen when you found them back in the freezer, whereas fresh food like that cabbage are fine to go ahead and leave where they are. Do not put seed packets in the oven. That I don't feel like I need to say that, but just don't. They won't grow in there. They will, in fact, just catch on fire. I am going to put the antidepressants in the medicine cabinet there. And now we still have that rubber hose. I am actually going to grab the gas can we found, and we're going to get some work done with that. Because in build 42, they have changed how siphoning fuel works from vehicles. And so, I am going to find a car to demonstrate the new system. If you're still on build 41, you don't need to really pay attention to this part. But if you are on build 42 and you have still not figured out how to siphon new vehicles, you need an empty gas can and a rubber hose. Make sure you're sneaking as you walk down the street. There's a basement down there, but we will check that out in a moment. Okay, and as long as you have both of the items in your inventory, you should get the ability to siphon gas. Now this taxi actually looks like it's in good enough condition that I want to check if we can find the keys. Generally speaking, in houses like this, you should be able to find car keys if you check around either in nearby garages or in the nearby home. So we are going to actually check around and see if we can find the keys to this car. Dispatch that zombie. Pick up their digital watch. Now we can tell when we are. Make sure you kill zombies until you can find one of those, as it's generally helpful, all of the information that will provide. We can go ahead and head down into the basement. And it looks like we have a little basement storage room. With some crafts tools, some ice cream, bunch of miscellaneous tools, a radio, wooden bucket, rope, wooden rods, large handles, an iron pipe, all potentially of interest. Basements like this are randomized. You will find different basements per playthrough. But we're going to check through the house and see if we can luck out and find the keys to that taxi. If we can't, we're likely going to have to break a window, which, while replaceable, is just a bit annoying to do so I'd prefer if we can get in the easy way. So far, no luck. But we haven't checked the main bedroom yet, so maybe our luck will turn around. On this occasion, it looks like we were unlucky. Fortunately, because we picked a burglar as our occupation to start, we don't need a key to get into that car. It just would have been a lot more convenient. Because as it stands, the procedure now is smash a window you don't particularly care about, gently enter the vehicle, switch to the driver's seat. Notice that this taxi driver was one bad call away from going postal. Unlock the doors and trunk. And use our burglar privilege to hotwire the engine. And there we go. First try. Looks like it has most of a tank of gas, too. Good deal. Now, if you are not a burglar, you would have had to find the keys to this car and do things that way. But that's why I recommended starting with burglar. It's one of the best and easiest starter occupations for getting cars going. Unfortunately, it seems like our car has attracted some undue attention. So lure them over to the nearby fence line. And as soon as they touch down, hit them. Do not give them a chance to lunge. Always make sure to watch your back. And above all, don't panic. Even if your character is panicking, do not panic out of character. Come on. Thank you. Yes, always make sure of a couple things. 1, check your surroundings. 2, don't panic. 3, when engaging in fence fighting like that, ensure that the zombies are hit the second they touch down. Because that way you can get rid of them easier. Otherwise, they will do a lunge forward that can knock you off balance. It is genuinely the worst when that happens. But, fortunately, it seems like we were able to handle ourselves effectively. Do check after each fight that you are not only not getting exerted, but you are not picking up muscle strain. This is a new mechanic in Build 42 that is meant to punish you for attempting to get in fights you probably shouldn't be able to win. From a realistic perspective, using things like firearms and explosives is muscle strain free, but poses its own risks, notably sound and the fact that if you use explosives, you can blow up any loot you were trying to reach. Speaking of loot to be reached, since we do have a car, one thing I am going to make sure to do is we're going to see if we can get into the Rosewood Elementary School. Go ahead and toss your gas can and your rubber hose in the back here. Try to make sure you have a full set of mechanics tools with you in whatever car you're using as your daily driver. Which is to say, a wrench or a ratchet wrench, a lug wrench or a tire iron, a jack kit, a screwdriver, a tire pump, a rubber hose, and at least 1 can of gas. Make sure you have all of those secured and you're in a good state. Forget even one of them and that can be an awkward roadside auto repair that the services to fix no longer exist post-apocalypse. But since we have this car, make sure you drive it kind of slow, but we should be able to pull up on the Rosewood Elementary School. Yep, matter of fact, it's down here. Okay. Go ahead and pull up. And it looks like we've attracted some attention. Make sure always aim for the head. That does more damage. If the zombie's on the ground prone like that, aim in front of their head. That's where the hitbox is considered. We killed that one so hard, they broke animation. That one too. Again, it's important you check your muscle strain and don't panic. Even if there's a lot of zombies that are starting to make their way to you, do not panic. That, above all else, is what's going to get you killed in this game. That said, there's absolutely nothing against accessorizing now you have slain your enemies. Oh, if you're going to go through a broken window, always make sure to remove the glass. I know in the official tutorial, it actually doesn't make you do that, so you can get injured and get the first aid tutorial. But always make sure you remove broken glass. But we are successfully in the Rosewood Elementary School now. Sneak up on that one. It seems we failed to get the critical knockdown. But that's fine, as we were able to get there in the end. Once again, check your blind spots, and if you get caught out in one, do not panic. By the way, broken windows can be used as effectively as broken fences. In terms of dispatching zombies you do not want to deal with in a regular slugging match. So make sure you take advantage of the resources as they are given. Hey. See, that's an example of what will happen if you do not respect the lunge. But once again, if you've been following along with my advice, do not panic. Getting knocked off your feet does suck, but it's recoverable if you remain calm. Just wait for them to come back through. Dispatch them accordingly. Now, you see that? You see that little feeling minor pain status effect that's come up? That means that we are officially feeling the effects of proper muscle strain, and that means it's about time for us to go. Fun fact, by the way, you can very easily use doors as shields. If you're ever fighting down a group of a couple of zombies, use a door to break aggro and split the group up. And it looks like our stick has broken at this point, so we're gonna go ahead and put that away. And at this point, we are hungry, we are out of breath, our muscle strain has only progressed into being higher. So we're going to find our weapon. It should be where we got knocked down. Grab the aviators again for emotional support. Go ahead and get rid of that infected. Now this right here is the main part of the school we were looking for. Everything else is pretty much optional. But we were looking for the library. We got the keys to a nearby vehicle. So go ahead and pick those up. See, we got a first aid book. We got a couple of useful recipe magazines. And we got some general purpose skill books. Now, there's nothing else I really want here other than a backpack, which fortunately is a very easy item to procure. Just get rid of the locals. And search the lockers. You should be able to find one pretty easily, assuming your school is not completely dark and thus pretty difficult to navigate. If you're particularly lucky, you should encounter an event where there's a bunch of backpacks in a classroom. That is pretty much the ideal scenario we're looking for here. But other than that, your best bet is to just check lockers. And on this occasion, it looks like we are not getting particularly lucky at all. Small backpack. Okay. Grab that, and we're out. That's everything we wanted at the Rosewood Elementary School. If you're following along at home, you got the car and you came over here. Leave once you get a small backpack that has better weight reduction than our sheet bag and is, generally speaking, a better bag just overall. But what we're going to want to do at this point is just head on back home. We're getting tired, we are out of breath, and our arms hurt. It's time we get back home and rest. Go ahead and pull up. Cut the engine. And we made it pretty good for our first day. Now, I like to play the game a bit riskier. If you're following along, I would recommend you maybe not make quite as many close shaves. Just generally speaking, play more cautiously than I am. But living a little is something important as well. All right, and we can go ahead and untie this sling bag that we have, and we get a sheet back for it. We have a pretty nice little library going. And the first day is pretty well survived with a lot that should help secure our immediate future. So what I would recommend doing at this point, set an alarm for just before the cook show airs, and go ahead and head to sleep. And we will pick up this guide for day 2.